Your hand is already moving toward your wallet before you've even decided what you're buying. Then you stop. You see the card reader instead, and something in you relaxes. Here's the strange part: the amount you're about to spend didn't change, only the object in your hand did. So, why does one version of paying feel like a loss and the other barely feels like anything at all? Hold that question. It matters more than you think. You've probably heard the advice 100 times: pay with cash and you'll spend less. It sounds like a tip from a personal finance blog, something your parents said, maybe a little outdated in a world of tap to pay and one click checkout. But researchers didn't just repeat this as folklore, they tested it. And what they found wasn't a mild nudge, it was a measurable split in how your brain treats identical amounts of money depending on the object that carries them. Start with the assumption you're probably holding right now. You might think money is money. $1 spent on a card and $1 spent in cash should register the same way in your brain because the number is the same. The value is the same. The thing you're buying is the same. That feels obvious. It also happens to be wrong. In the early 2000s, MIT researchers Drazen Prelec and Duncan Semester ran an auction for tickets to a sold-out Boston Celtics game. Half the bidders were told they'd have to pay in cash if they won. The other half were told they could pay with a credit card. Nothing else about the auction changed. Same tickets, same room, same scarcity. But the credit card group bid on average roughly twice as much as the cash group. Twice as much. For the exact same seats. Sit with what that means. Your willingness to spend didn't just shift a little when the payment method changed. It doubled. The dollar amount you were about to hand over stopped feeling like a real cost the moment it stopped being physical. Prelec and Semester had a name for what was happening, building on work from behavioral economics more broadly. They called it the pain of paying. Handing over cash activates something close to a small, real sense of loss. Your hand is lighter afterward. You watch the bills leave. A card doesn't do that. You tap, you sign. Sometimes you don't even look at the total. The transaction still happens. The felt cost of it almost disappears. That's not a metaphor. It's a documented, replicated finding. And once you know it exists, you start noticing it everywhere your money moves. But the story doesn't stop at cards versus cash. It gets stranger and more relevant to how you actually live now. Richard Thaler, the economist who helped define the field of mental accounting, showed that your brain doesn't treat all money as interchangeable, even within the same wallet. You mentally sort dollars into different buckets. Rent money feels different from birthday money. Grocery money feels different from a bonus. The number on the bill doesn't determine how carefully you guard it. The story you've attached to that money does. Now put that next to Prelec and Semester's finding, and something clicks into place. Cash doesn't just hurt more to spend. It gets sorted into a bucket labeled real, tangible mine gone if I use it. A card gets sorted somewhere else entirely. A bucket that feels abstract, almost theoretical. Numbers on a screen that update later in a statement you might not read closely in a bill that arrives weeks after the moment of wanting was already over. Here's the gut punch part. This isn't a flaw in undisciplined people. It's not about willpower at all. Dan Ariely, who has spent decades studying irrational spending decisions, has pointed to exactly this pattern. The friction of a purchase, not the size of it, is often what determines whether you buy something. Remove the friction and the size stops mattering the way it should. Which brings you to right now. Your phone, your watch maybe. A single tap sometimes without even unlocking the screen. Every generation of payment technology has done one thing extremely well. It has quietly removed one more physical felt step between wanting something and owning it. Think about what that means for the last week of your life. Every contactless tap, every save card, autofilling a checkout form in under 2 seconds, every subscription that renews without you touching anything at all. None of those moments gave your brain the signal that cash gives it automatically. None of them produced that small, real pinch of loss. You didn't feel poor in the moment you got poorer. The two events, spending and feeling it, used to happen together. Now they've been quietly split apart. So picture this. It's 11:47 at night. The blue light of your phone is the only light in the room. Your half asleep thumb already moving on muscle memory before your conscious mind has caught up. And the checkout button is already highlighted before you fully decided to buy anything. There's no wallet to open, no bills to count out, no felt weight leaving your hand, just a small vibration, a confirmation screen, and then the phone goes dark again. And you're already thinking about something else. That's the twist, and it's the one most people get backwards. You think the problem is spending too much. It isn't, not exactly. The real problem is that you're spending without your brain ever registering that spending happened at all. The purchase completes. The consequence doesn't arrive until much later, disconnected, softened, easy to explain away as one small thing among many. Here's where it gets almost unfair. Some researchers have found that this effect isn't just about card versus cash anymore. It scales with how removed the payment feels from a physical act. Digital wallets, saved payment info, one-click purchasing, these methods sit even further from cash than a swiped card does, and the pain of paying shrinks accordingly. The technology didn't just make paying more convenient, it made spending measurably less painful on purpose, because painless spending is more profitable spending for the businesses building these systems. You're not imagining that shopping online feels easier than it should. It was built to feel that way. There's a third piece of evidence worth sitting with because it's the most personal one. George Lowenstein, one of the researchers who helped shape how economists think about emotion and decision-making, has argued that many financial choices aren't driven by careful calculation at all. They're driven by the immediate felt state you're in during the decision itself, not the long-term consequence you'll face afterward. Cash forces that immediate feeling to exist. A card lets you skip straight past it into a version of the decision with no felt state attached at all. Just a number and a beep. That's the part that should unsettle you a little. It isn't just that a credit card makes spending easier. It's that a credit card can make spending happen with almost no emotional signature whatsoever. No hesitation, no wait, nothing to remember later when the statement arrives and you genuinely can't recall making half the charges on it. Think back to the last time you looked at a monthly statement and felt a small jolt of confusion at one of the line items. Not because you didn't buy it, because some part of you never fully registered buying it in the first place. That gap between the moment of spending and the moment of realizing you spent is exactly what these researchers were measuring decades before contactless payment even existed. Technology didn't invent the gap. It just widened it and made it nearly invisible. Now think about how this shows up outside of shopping apps too. A subscription you forgot you had quietly renewing every month on a card you don't check often. A food delivery order placed in under 30 seconds total. Spent dinner arriving all without a single moment where the cost registered as real money leaving your hands. Even a tip left with one tap on a screen, the percentage pre-selected for you, the true dollar amount barely visible at all. Each of these is a small, separate instance of the exact same mechanism Prelec and Semester found in a Celtics ticket auction more than 20 years ago. The setting changed. The psychology didn't. None of this means the answer is to abandon cards, delete every app, and carry only bills like it's still 1995. That's not realistic, and honestly, it's not the point. The point is smaller and stranger and more useful than that. The pain of paying isn't a bug in your brain to override. It's a signal, a small, uncomfortable moment that exists specifically to make you pause and register a real cost before it becomes a real consequence. Modern payment technology didn't remove that signal because it was broken. It removed it because a functioning warning system is bad for conversion rates. Some people have started reintroducing the friction on purpose, not by returning to cash entirely, but by rebuilding a version of that pause, checking a real balance before a purchase instead of trusting a vague sense of it, physically writing a number down before buying something over a certain amount, using a debit card instead of a credit card for anything non-essential, because even that small difference spending money you can see, leave an account you can check, restores some of the friction a credit line quietly erases. The goal isn't to feel bad about spending, it's to feel it at all, right now. Because here's the truth underneath all of this. You didn't lose control of your spending because you're careless with money. You lost the feeling of spending one tap at a time, one saved card at a time, one frictionless checkout at a time, and no one ever told you that was happening because it was never supposed to be noticed. So the next time your hand moves towards your wallet and you catch yourself relaxing when you see the card reader, instead, stop for 1 second. That relief you feel isn't nothing. It's the exact moment your brain quietly decided this purchase doesn't count. And now you know better.